Hello and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask, so I'll tell you. The acceptament of Angel's messenger and the acceptament of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guest and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I'll introduce you to my wonderful guest, Lisa McCardle. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to both of us to connect with like-minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Rae, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, find your purpose, create your future, to expand your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, get clarity on your next steps, and take charge of your destiny so that you can fulfill your purpose in this lifetime. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Lisa McCardle, about awakening to remember 3 keys to ascension, and that you're a divine being of light. There is less to learn than there is to unlearn, so that you can remember the truth of who you are. And we will Lisa will be demystifying the awakening process and activate your source code, supporting your daily life while optimizing your connection, purpose, power, and pleasure. Now, Lisa is the creator of Inner Wisdom Awakening, an internationally best-selling author, award-winning speaker, quantum healer, soul alchemist, and Light Council Channel. As an initiated priestess in the Rose Temple lineage, she is the keeper of the ancient temple codes. She is passionate about supporting humanity to plug back into the source of which they were created for remembrance, to awaken for expansion, and find true purpose through pleasure as a conduit to reclaim their personal power. Now, with testimonials such as Lisa McCardle is the real deal. Her intuitive gifts and capacity to channel healing and critical insights have been the key to navigating one of the most challenging chapters of my life. Literally, after a group webinar on financial prosperity, I experienced a financial miracle. I believe it had so much to do with how Lisa helps us choose the mindset that supports to our highest good. If you believe in magic of allowing, Lisa is your guide to divine wisdom. And it is amazing to see Lisa in her element. It's so encouraging to witness her changing the world through the way she empowers individuals to be their most whole and biggest selves. And in a way, Lisa models the intuitive and receptive way of receiving and being. She is by far the most loving and powerful healer that I know anywhere. So without further delay, hello, Lisa, and welcome to Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hi, thank you so much. That is a lot to take in, and in your introduction, I was like, "Oh, the testimonials!" And wow, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. So sometimes we need to be reminded.
Yes, yes, I humbly receive all of that. Thank you.
So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Lisa and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. And so far, we've already got Harley here. Hi, Harley. And Janeki's here. Hi, Janeki. And Tanita's here. Hi, Tanita. So obviously, as we go through, if you have any comments or questions, then please feel free to put them in. So Lisa, why don't you tell us more about your journey and how we can awaken to remember with the 3 keys to ascension?
Where to begin with the journey? You know, it's been a lifetime journey really on this planet. I would say that the journey of being a spiritually awakening human really did begin at birth for me. I was sighted at birth. I would wake up to the ghosts and such in my room when I was a young child, and that was terrifying, really. And I was also raised extremely religious, and the religious model that my family was in was not accepting of such practices. So ghosts were not part of the reality. So I shut everything down. And then around 25 years old, I became a massage therapist. And when I started touching people, my sight came back. So it has been a 30-year journey of really remembering the truth of who I am at soul level, And I would say, especially in these last 3 years, the truth of purpose, of what it is I'm here to do. Like, I feel like everything before was practice. Like, my whole life makes sense now. I went through what is often called the dark night of the soul. It started in 2021. Obviously, we have all experienced a lot of transition since 2021, and since 2012, when the Ascension process really started accelerating. And then we hit that, amazing COVID experience where everything went and everything's been changing ever since. So I know I'm not alone when I say, but I was initiated into a dark night soul experience during that time. The real brief of it is the home that I have been living in with my partner 15 years. Our son was selling. And as we were coming to this, pushed transition, I also knew that our relationship of 15 years was complete. So we went through the process of very beautifully, consciously, and amicably, consciously uncoupling, which led me to deconstructing a 3,800 square foot house, selling my things. My online business was in reconstruction, shifting the model, son going off to college. I, thought I had just done. It was like, boom, done. I had just done the hardest thing I was ever going to do. And finding myself in my early 50s on who am I now? And how does life look now? And just 7 weeks after that process, my husband, he died unexpectedly. And so what happened in that, everything was preparation. I realized that when death walked in, and I hadn't dealt with death that significantly at any point in my life previously. So when death walked in, everything that I knew literally collapsed. I mean, I died 1,000 deaths, and everything around me, in me, and of me just kept dying, including spirit brought me to leave California. I moved to Sedona, Arizona. So I left my 27-year community too in the middle of it. So literally it was like the pillars falling, right?
Yeah.
And I say this story really because I know we all have a version of that in the mix right now, because Ascension, awakening, that's what we're here to talk about. And I did write a book during the middle of all that, and it has 5 pillars of awakening. I'm going to share 3 of them with you today. But one of the pillars in that book is deconstruction. So as we go through this awakening process, we are being asked to let go of a lot of things that we had formulated in an old way. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the did you hear that?
I did.
So I guess our angels or guides are nearby. Not sure what's going on.
Yep.
The wind just kicked up. It could be an umbrella outside. So never miss the moment. Something wanted to make its presence known here, right?
Exactly. Oh, yes.
And here we are, really tying it back. So yes, it was the hardest thing that I've ever experienced. And it was the most profound awakening for me. What happened through the portal of death and surrendering at that deep of a level was a series of profound events. I mean, so much so that I'm writing my second book about it, that repositioned my path, my course. And now everything in my life makes sense. And it was like the portal of death that initiated me to wake up and remember what I'm actually here to do. So much gratitude in my heart for the experience. And I would give anything to have that beautiful man still here on the planet. So, so the journey is wild. It's radical. And it's what we all said yes to. An awakening to remember, really, and, just to kick things off, to me, we are infinite beings having this human experience. And we know that. We've been told that. We know it. Spiritual beings, human experience. But everything that's coming right now is that we get to become that. we have to embody that. And so really paying attention to everything you're seeking for outside of yourself, like to learn more, to glean more, who are you following and what are you doing, and all this external information. I really believe we also, not that that is not supportive, but in an equal proportion and maybe even greater, I believe that we really have to get to a point that we truly know. It's a remembrance, not a learning. And all we're really doing is deconstructing everything that keeps us from the truth of who we actually are. So when I speak to awaken to remember, and it's that we remember to awaken, you know, it goes both ways. Yeah, so that's kind of the base of it all, and we'll take a deeper dive, of course.
Yeah, no, that's you know, that's an you know, when you look at it, it is an amazing experience. And I think sometimes when these things happen to us, you know, I sort of like had the rug pulled out from under my feet, you know, a couple of years ago. When you can look at the time, it seems like, oh my God, this is just everything collapsing. But when you actually look at it from a higher perspective with that bird's eye view, you kind of go, oh, now I can see and understand why that happened in that way, and where and where that was. And it's kind of like getting to that point when you're in that space of actually trying to get to see the higher perspective of it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's really about, it's a reconfiguration, you know, it's absolutely a reconfiguration, and that's part of what has to align for us to awaken. I also want to speak to that bird's eye view, or that Google Earth perspective. It takes as long as it takes. And so there is no rush to the finish line or need to judge self of where you are. You know, I know especially in the grief portal, and we are needing to say, we are grieving a lot as a collective of humanity right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of souls leaving the planet. I mean, I've walked through 6 deaths in the last 2 months on top of it. I'm like we're seeing it. But in addition to death, there's pieces of ourself that are dying away, right? That thing that has us believing there's something outside of ourselves that's going to save us or bring us home. Or, you know, once I study Reiki, or I study this, or I get aligned with that, or I follow this person, then I'll awaken. And it's like, it is all an inside game, and we are not doing it alone. So it's beautiful to have the support and people that will help to align us to the remembrance so we can ascend faster. But it is an inside game. And when we do get to the capacity, I mean, after my beloved had died, a dear friend of mine said, you know, when you can't rush the winter. So when you're in the season of winter, which is the falling away, which is a natural part of awakening and ascension, there is no rushing the winter. But I would like to say that when the spring comes, it is more glorious than anything that would have been if the winter had not occurred. But you can't hurry to get to that Google Earth or that bird's eye perspective, because you know, when the butterfly, when the chrysalis is occurring, the butterfly can't rush its wings state. It can't rush its birth. The child, if the child rushes, you know, wants to come through the mother's womb more quickly, it's usually a delicate issue. So wherever you are in the process, we have to trust it. And that Google Earth perspective comes when it comes. And you might not be able to see the full spectrum. I mean, I'm nearly 3 years into this journey. And even just in this last few weeks, I have even a greater understanding of the gift that I was given, that death bestowed upon me. And so we keep elevating more and we can see more, and we elevate more and we can see more. But there's moments that your face is to the ground and all you're doing is breathing to sustain life. And that's okay too. You know, it really is. Like, we got to be where we be. And we're all doing it. we're not just grieving the death, but we're grieving the death of who we once were. And remember 5 and 10 year plans where you're like, I'm going to do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll get the degree, and I'll have the family, and all of that is so done.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
you can't really plan anything these days. And Harley has actually got a question for you. She says,
sure.
do you think that what you're supposed to be remembering is what you have signed up for in this life, first remembering past experiences from past lives?
Let me read it again. I'm trying to turn. I have a vacuum and they're making noise. I'm not used to this robot vacuum that just showed up in my house. So I'm trying to make it stop. Okay. Do I believe that signed up for in this life and remembering past lives from past lives? I think it's an and not an or situation is what I want to say. We signed up for this experience, absolutely, especially at this time. Like, this is one of the most precious, delicate, and expansive times that has ever occurred in the history of humanity. And so our souls absolutely have massive agreements to be here at this time, to be here in this frequency, and to walk this journey, and to walk all of us really home to this remembrance. So I do believe that there is a soul agreement. And I often, with my clients, tie this back into, in the 30 years I've been working with humans, I'd say at the core, when we get to the core and we allow people to know that they are worthy, everything else begins to heal. And so I often tie back to that worth piece, that you're a planet. I mean, you're a human on planet Earth right now. Like, you are here. Only the supersonic sacred souls are here right now. And I say we are chosen. We're the chosen ones. And that also means that we chose, right?
Yeah.
We chose and we are chosen. And there are souls lined up everywhere trying to get on Earth plane right now, because this is like where the party is. As intense and uncomfortable as this is the cosmic playground of absolute transformation that the planet is undergoing, a dimension shift that has never occurred. All eyes are on us. And you're the star players. You are the star player of this amazing moment in time. We are so blessed to be here, even though it is so flippin' uncomfortable sometimes. So to get back to your question, I believe that our souls have chosen, and I also believe very much that we have free will. And so we choose, Spirit's saying, you choose the algorithm.
Yeah.
that you're going to be playing in, because you do have free will, and all paths lead to heaven. In my opinion, we choose the path we're going to walk to get there, and we can jump the line sometimes when we're like, oh, this isn't really feeling so good anymore. And we're witnessing that happening in an accelerated frequency right now, because we are converging timelines. And it is my belief that's come through Spirit that this is the lifetime we're completing karma. So it's also the reason a lot of supersonic souls are exiting. They're like coming in, getting the crash course, karma, done, out. They're not really here necessarily to support the ascension process. Well, actually, Spirit's also saying their exit is also actually supporting the ascension process. Like, I'll go back to my own experience. Death ushered me in to remember what I had said yes to 2,000 years ago. Like, I now know, and every step of this path makes absolute sense. It has all been preparation, all of it. And you can't make this up. Is like any time you want to say you can't make this shit up is when you know that you're in one of those universal synchronistic moments where you're like, oh, pivot, got it. And it's explorating. So to your question, it's a little bit of both. Our souls definitely knew, but we're choosing the path that we can accelerate it, and we can make it easier, or we can go into some density because we are deconstructing the density. So we keep dipping into it to experience it so that we can choose differently, which brings us into remembrance. We're not learning anything. We are truly unlearning. The new intelligence is how quickly are you willing to pivot and unlearn everything you've believed to be true and how you do it.
Yeah.
And the sooner we can unlearn, the sooner that remembrance of our infinite expression is able to come online. And that brings us into the spring and the summer of the season of our awakening, basically.
Yeah. And you know, it's kind of like, as well as that, you know, all the planets and everything are lining up to help with this at this time. It's like everything is aligning perfectly, you know, for this ascension to actually take place, where we start moving from, you know, 3D to 5D, even further.
Even further. Yeah, this is what I was shown too when I was writing the book, and it's become so much more in all of our awareness now. But you know, this 3 to 5 is the leap. It's the big leap. But the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, like that's like those are much more accessible. It's just that it's kind of like we have to leap over the Grand Canyon, and then we can take all kinds of walks.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so Harley actually says, yes, but what is this in preparation for? Events in this life offer a different world to come. Good question, Harley.
What is this preparation for? Events in this life for?
Or for a different world to come.
Yeah, well, we're birthing a new earth. All of this is preparation for a different world to come. So once we have the eyes to see the distortion of the lens that's upon the planet, I mean, if we truly believe that we are infinite beings living in an infinite universe, having this human experience and coming here to play through density and to play through karma, which has been the earth school agreement for thousands of years, we also have to acknowledge that there's been a lot of extra density placed upon the consciousness of humanity. There is a blanket weighing down, and you know, the points of that I don't believe are all naturally occurring. Everyone has their different belief systems about what's happening. So there is, in my opinion, an artificial assimilation that is oppressing the consciousness of humanity. And it has been for a long time. And how my guides described it to me is that you could have a cancer cell living within your body. We all do. And they sit there doing what they do. It's that when it becomes a problem is when it starts to disrupt the collective well-being of the cellular structure of the body, right? And then we're dealing with a dis-ease. Planet Earth has been sitting in this frequency for a long time, kind of having its own experiment and its own experience, and it has grown to become a problem systemically for the universe. Now, the good news within that is we have all kinds of galactic and otherwise multidimensional beings that are here supporting us, because planet Earth being in its well is essential for the multiverse and for the, you know, masses of the universe in particular. So this cancer has gotten out of hand, if you will. And so the purpose of this is that the vibration of this planet is needing to rise, and it's needing to come up to support a universal collective of well-being. And we play a very important role in that. And at the same point in time, as we shift the dimensions, you know, Mama Gaia, the earth herself, has taken a hearty hit in a lot of this artificial assimilation. Let's just remember, you're an infinite soul. No soul ever came out of that infinity and said, let me become a slave to a system. That means that you work hard to survive. Like, basically get up, get to work, and don't stop working. And maybe it's 65, 70, 80. You can take your hand off the grindstone and have some space to enjoy life. That's not an infinite being expression. And it's become so normalized and so accelerated in a multi-generational way that we consider it to be normal. It's not normal. And so it's time that we begin to see this and pause the matrix formulation and expand something greater, because it's the natural state of being for evolved souls.
Yeah,
Answer?
beautifully said. Harley says, realms 3 to 5 is comparable to the last £5 when losing weight.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I like
Like,
that.
oh, we are going to get there. And then you're like, oh, look what we've done.
Exactly. So Tanita says there's lots of talks of the rapture. Does this link with the big change?
What I really believe is important, I'm going to premise it by saying we have an inner wisdom. This is the name of my business, Inner Wisdom Awakening. It also ties right back into you unlearn to remember. So I want to premise this by saying, whatever your belief systems, wherever it has come through, always, always, always go back to the truth as you feel it. The mind holds 3D, the body, the womb. A lot of my work is about moving into womb, second chakra, and heart cohesion. And so the mind holds the programming of the third dimensionality. And so we're thinking it when we get down into how does this feel as resonant or true in my body? So I'll answer that question first with, you have the answers inside of you, what feels as resonance. I believe it does tie into rapture. I believe that a lot of the things, although, things written in the Bible are very predictive, and I do believe that there is a tie over. I also believe there's a distortion in all the lenses. And this is what makes this matrix game so distorting right now. And it's amplifying so much. It's upside down. Everything's inverted. Everything is inverted to keep your consciousness out of alignment in some way, to keep us in this third dimensional realm. And our job is to shake it loose so that we can actually ascend into the truth of our remembrance of what is true within us. So I do believe that the rapture holds assimilation to what we're experiencing. Will the picture be as it's been described biblically? It's left to be seen. Follow the truth of what feels for you to be true. And remember, a lot is written in symbols. A lot is symbolized and will be actualized in a way that might make more sense as we walk the process. I know that's kind of a roundabout way of speaking to it, but there's not really straight lines in any of this.
No. There's no straight lines at all, and when you start going down one path, it leads to
how many rabbit holes that we walk?
There is so, but we are our own navigator. We have our own compass inside us, and it is connecting to that and allowing that to guide us on the path, on the journey that we're going to. So, how can we awaken? How can we remember?
Well, we are. We are doing it. How do we do it? We get really present. Presence is the first pillar. And what that means is, when we're in the future, we're in anxiety. And a lot of this talk around what the new earth is, and the deeper into the rabbit holes you go, it can create, we most likely are in very trying times, and we've been in very trying times. Who knows what's coming next? But what's essential is, thank you, Laura. I very much enjoy this too. What's coming, what we must do is we must stay in presence. When we're in the past, we're in depression. Future is anxiety. And this is the golden moment right here. So key number one really is presence. This is what we can do. We also, Spirit saying right now, stop with the distractions. Stop with the distractions. And distractions can be a lot of things, bright, shiny objects that are meant to distract. Oh, I can do that. Takes us off our path and out of the sovereignty of the truth of our inner wisdom, our inner well. And it's, it's the death of the guru right now, which means, you are the guru. You hold all the wisdom. You hold all the knowledge. If someone says, I can take you there, and doesn't say, I can walk you there, because I'll walk it with you. Just walk away, because there is no one and nothing outside of yourself that holds a greater knowledge than the wisdom of you. And so how do we get there? We're present. We come into the practices of presence. We come to our breath. We come to the earth. We walk out. I have this meditation that's called the womb room. It's like we walk out of the mind, because it holds the 3D illusions and matrix, and we walk down into the truth of our heart and our womb. We have to get into our body to feel our way, not think our way. We are never going to think our way home.
Yeah.
So number 1 is presence. That's how we get there. Shall I go on to number 2?
Yeah. Go on to number 2.
Number 2 is connection. And what that connection means is basically just an expansion of what I said. Only in presence can we find this inner wisdom, this connection. And in this connection is where the series of things of the universe's communication begins to really ignite to us. Right? Everything is a directive when we're on the path. Synchronicity, like pay attention to the synchronicities in your life. Like it's so mind-blowing when you pivot or turn in a direction, and how you know it's time to turn is you're like bouncing your head against the wall, your head against the wall, your head against the wall. I'm going to make this work. I mean, I lived this, I was deconstructing my business of so many years and decades, and after walking through the death portal, I kept trying to pick everything up the way I used to do it. Like, I'll just go back because I don't know what else. There is no going back.
No.
And you have to wait in the pause, which is the pregnant pause. And it's so flippin' uncomfortable until you're redirected. And then, and so I say this, like, we're all walking this path. When you are aligned and moving in the direction that your soul is summoning forth, both from your free will and from your agreements, as we said earlier, the magic that bestows itself is unbelievable. And so signs and symbols is the universe's way of communicating with you. Mm-hmm. You can see that through numbers. I'm sure you speak about this a lot on your show. The angel codes, the angel numbers, the flowers that come into my presence, the words and music, the animals. I mean, I pay attention. I'm like, oh, there's a dragonfly. Oh, there's a butterfly. Oh, You don't know what these things mean. Like Google's your friend in that case, like Jess or whatever tool you like for research. There's so many now. Spiritual meaning of, boom. And then you start to get the decoder to understand the communication of the universe. So connection is key. And by that connection, it's your connection from your higher self. Spirit's been saying that in this new frequency I believe we're firmly anchored in 4th density now. Just the rise, right? 3rd dimension, the stair, 4th density, the rise, 5D, the next landing pad. And then we'll do as we've spoken. I believe we are firmly somewhere along the spectrum of the ride here. From that, when we really come into this space of what is it that I know? What is it that I feel to be true? What is it, this like inner wisdom and this connection? Spirit said, anything that's outside that we have attached to for security is going to wobble right now. Whether that's the numbers in your bank, that 5-year plan we laughed about, your relationships, because most of them, anything longer than 2 to 3 years is based in karma, and it's the cleanup. Your plans, your home, your community, your, I've watched people retire and their identity has been this service in this way. And they're like, who am I now? All of it is like weeble wobbles right now. And there's 3 points of connectivity that are going to hold up in the new frequency, especially as we're anchored in 4th density. It's self to self. I find that in the 2nd chakra, in the heart. It's self to higher self, which I find in the 8th chakra. Your soul self. Your innate wisdom, your connection, the star chakra, your connection to the infinite knowing, and self to source itself. So that holy trine of that line of like God, consciousness, highest degree, which you are not separate from source. You are an expression of source,
Yeah.
down to your higher self's awareness, your intuitive knowing, your soul over soul, high soul, connected self into your physical expression. That's what's going to hold up. And that's the connection. And then we connect deep into Mama Gaia through our wombs and through our feet, touching the earth daily, eating the freshness of her plants and the bounty of her, connecting into source in meditation and paying attention to the synchronicity that's all around us. So presence, connection, first two major keys.
Yeah, beautiful. And Laura sent us 100%, and Harley says, love Google. Google is my go.
Fantastic. Then Google on, sister.
Exactly. You know, a lot of people, have kind of like said, oh, AI, Google, etc. But they're archetypes. It's how you use them and experience. It's like someone said to me, oh, AI is going to take over everything. But my thing, AI is here to stay. Extraterrestrials use it, but it's how we use it. So the more people asking spiritual things and doing spiritual work with AI are going to mold it to the spiritual things. So we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should be embracing it with the highest light there is.
And with a high consciousness that, these are slippery slopes and things can get very distorting. I just had a client today tell me about how through do I want to go down this rabbit hole? Maybe not. Just how IVF, that there's been an IVF pregnancy within her house and her family, and they were able to take out the BRCA gene from the lineage. And I'm like, wow, that's a benefit for the lineage moving forward. And it's a very slippery slope. Where does it end? Like, do we start to decide what kind of humans we want and point things in direction? So with all of this, as we're moving into Pluto and Aquarius, right? That's all about innovation and all about, like the astrology and everything is like, and it's nonstop. You're like, and then there's this, and then there's this, and now we're doing this, and now you're just like, boom, boom, boom. Being a rocket ship in a square box. I don't know. We're just pinging off of everything. So, remember the source. And sometimes, we go, I guess what I'd like to say about that is we go to these sources of these things thinking that we have all the answers. And some of them are still censored a little bit. So you don't get all of the information. So, here's part of the upside down, inside out illusion that we're living in. It is a fun ride being a human right now. It is.
Oh, yeah. It totally is. And Laura's saying that she's loving this chat. Yes, I'm loving it too. I like it when we start going off into
tangents are with us, that's for sure.
Exactly. So what's the third pillar?
So what's the third pillar? It's so funny because, I make up these titles and then I sit in them in the day of, because there's like actually 300 portals to get us to awakening. And so I'm like, okay, what's the third one that I really want to bring in? And I would say that the third one, here's the one that wants to come right now. It is trust. And I actually, as I was playing with this today, trust wasn't on the table. And as it's coming in, I feel emotion in my body.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about playing directly with spirit. We are not disconnected from any of it. When we show up in presence and we connect, that which we need to know next comes. I'm to share this with you. I've been through a lot of moves, a lot of movement, a lot of change, a lot of unsettling over the last 3 years. The things that they have taught me is all the worry in the world never changes the outcome. Everything always works out. And if you need to seek for proof of that, look back on your life. It always works out. Is it always comfortable? No. It always works out. And one step at a time. Like, this is the formula that just keeps coming through me. So in this now moment, when asked what is the third key, it is to trust this, to trust the process, to trust that you have everything already alive within you to know how to do this. You had said yes to it, and to trust the outcome, trust the journey, trust the process, and everything that is different than trust, because really trust brings us back to the infinity of faith, which ultimately is the expression of love. And so anything that is fear, anything that is illusion, anything that is outside of that, it is for you to say, thank you, I see you, and no, I am a no. We don't need to battle our ego, our self, our minds, the programs, the dark force. We don't need to fight. We need to remember that our ultimate expression in the depths of our being is this infinity of love. And we get to trust that love, that knowledge, that is going to remember us fully to who it is that we are at soul level. And it's going to take us home. And by home, it's a home to a new earth. It's a home to a collective that gets to live as sovereign, free, sourced, and souled beings, because it is our natural state. So that was a little channel for all of us coming through.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for that. You know, as always, you know, the spirit and the angels, you know, when you have that connection, they always, you know, give you the right words for you to say, and for the right people to actually hear them that need to hear it at that moment in time. And
We are
Laura's
all channels of the divine. We truly are.
Oh, we totally are. So if anyone's got any questions they want to ask them, please do ask them. So whilst we're waiting to see if anyone has got any questions, as you know, I do guided meditations and I do angel and oracle cards, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an oracle card for themselves and those watching. So Lisa, what would you like?
I would love an oracle card. That sounds so much fun to me.
Oh, and what happens? I've got them in my hand. Surprise, surprise.
Look at that. Look at what magic we are.
I know. It's absolutely amazing. So when I work with the cards, it is for what you need to know in your present moment. So even though I do work with the past, with past life stuff, it's we go back into the past to learn from and heal from, so it doesn't affect us in the present. And when I take people into the future, it's to see, understand, and know the steps to come back to the present so you can be fully here now. So let's see what we all need to know for our highest good at this moment in time. So what does Lisa and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? Okay, we'll go with that one because that one wants to come out.
I love the jumpers.
So do I. And the most perfect card for what we've been talking about as well was confirmation and everything. Vast vistas, expand your horizons.
Look at that.
How perfect is that card that, you know, that they wanted to come out. So, you know, it's really confirmation for you, Lisa, you know, that as you're expanding your horizons with this new way of being, you know, there's so much out there for you to explore and to experience. And it's sort of like, you know, it's a clear path. You can see beyond you know, the illusion. So it's absolutely brilliant for that. And for everyone who's watching, you know, when you expand your horizons, you do look at the bigger picture. You look at everything that's going on around. You can actually see the vast vistas, and that allows you to come back to focus. So it is bringing you back to be fully present, to focus on where you are going, what you are supposed to be doing. So yeah, beautiful cards that came out for that. So do you want to see? I was going to say, have you got something to say on that?
I do, and I so appreciate that because I've actually forgot. This used to come through a lot in my sessions, and I kind of forgot about it. So thank you. And my guides used to often say, raise your gaze, right? Which is that exact meaning. And because they would say, it's so easy to get into this micro of like, I have this, I don't have this, I'm suffering here, I'm growing here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And we just get like this.
Yeah.
And if we're like this, what happens? Our heart is contracted and we're in this micro and it's like, it's really, but if we raise our gaze, right, the vast vistas, it's like you raise your gaze to see the big picture. And it also gets us out of that inertia of the micro and brings us into the macro, which is where everything is possible. So thank you for that. That was really delightful for me to receive that.
Well, that's the angels for you. They come through in whichever way they want, and they make me go all blurry sometimes.
Yeah, they did. They're like, oh.
Which is always good. Normally the camera comes back pretty quick, so they're obviously still hanging about with us. So as there's no more questions at the moment, Lisa, do you have any insights or thoughts or last words of wisdom that you can leave our viewers?
Yeah. As much as we talk about remembering as a key to awakening, it isn't about doing a lot of work. So it's not as much about, let me get to work and let me, go figure this out and go. It's reconfiguring from within. And it is truly listening to the pulse and the beat of your heart. It isn't a lot of work to get to your natural state. It is a consistent choice to no longer listen to the distractions and the distortions of the mind, but to breathe deep into what is it that I know is true? Can I trust? Can I feel my connection and can I stay present? And the more we are in that space of grace, the more rapidly the remembrance can occur. So we've done enough work. Work is a 4-letter word. We get to allow, we get to come into presence. And the more consistent you are in that, and the more committed you are to that, the more rapidly the ascension naturally occurs. Remember, we're unlearning everything that has been artificially assimilated within consciousness to remember the truth of who we are at soul level. And that can happen as rapidly as we're willing to allow, not from a generation of the mind, but from allowing the soul to speak the essence of truth through the vibration of your being. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And Laura says, I have 1,000 questions, but really appreciate hearing this today. Which leads us quite nicely on to, I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Lisa, and even get your book to get the other pillars, how do they do that?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website. It's lisa@lisamccardle.com. It's quite easy. The link to the book is in there. And what I really love, because there are so many questions, I love having tea times with people. And so there's a link on there that there's a free gift at the bottom if you want a meditation. And there's also a link in there to connect with a tea time. And it's just a 15-minute. I want to hear your story and see who you are. And I love connection is currency, and it's how we raise the consciousness of this planet. So that's the best way to find me. And then I have some social stuff too. Lisa McCardle _ is my Instagram, or Lisa McCardle Facebook. Just let's connect. We rise together. We don't do this journey alone. It's just too exhausting to do it alone.
Yeah, no, we definitely don't do this journey alone, which is why, I love doing this show as well, because, it is bringing everyone together who needs to be together so they can find, so we can each find the people that can help us on our growth, that we can help them, they can help us. Which, I just love the communities that.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for hearing the call and doing this, and creating platforms and community and connection, so that we can gather. So I want to bow to you and thank you for listening to the call and taking the action. It's a lot of work it's a lot of that 4-letter word to put stuff out in the world. And so thank you for your commitment and dedication. I'm truly honored.
You're welcome. And Susie says, thank you, ladies. So fascinating. Harley says, definitely wonderful interview. Also, your YouTube channel, yep. I agree. And what I will be doing once the show's finished, I will put in the comments the direct links to Lisa, so you can just literally click on it and go to it. But again, if you go to her website, you scroll to the bottom, the links will take you directly to those. And Jenica says, I agree, Lisa. I'm grateful to Rae to do these talks,
Yes.
etc. And I'm glad for all the people that join me, like Susie, Janecki, Harley, etc. You know, that all come along, and obviously Tanita as well, that come along and join the show, either live or pre-recorded. So thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your wisdom. It's been absolutely wonderful. And of course, if you are now ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, stuck, or alone, then please feel free to reach out and connect with me. And we can arrange a free 20-minute call, a video call, to see where you are now, and you can move forward to take charge of your destiny so that you can spread your wings and soar. And of course, you can receive a free future life progression recording to discover your destiny by singing to your future, to get guidance and clarity that you can use in your current life, bringing it back to the present, as well as a couple of other free little gifts by signing up to my email. And of course, again, thank you everyone so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny, just like you. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified of when the show goes live, or I post new guided meditations. And every time, you know, you support my channel, you support Lisa, you support any of my guest channels by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, you're really being part of that web, that community of getting the information out there to help so many other people raise their consciousness and get onto their spiritual path. So thank you for doing that. And I look forward to you joining me same time, same place next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.